Knowing what to do in a domestic violence situation may be a lot harder or more complicated than what some realize. Here to help is Christine Kobe. She is a violence prevention educator with ACT. Good morning. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's first start out and remind people what ACT does. And really, it's an invaluable resource here in Southwest Florida for families.
Okay. Well, first we have our 24-hour hotline, so we can answer questions about any kind of crisis situation. But we are the local service provider for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. We have, aside from our hotline, which is how people would find us because we're a confidential location, we have 3 shelters, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and LaBelle, just opened. And we have counseling, we have children's programs, we have legal advocacy, so we provide a lot of
you do it
services.
all. Again, an invaluable resource. And I want to go back to when I think people, you know, if you haven't dealt with domestic abuse or domestic violence, which unfortunately a lot of people have because it is a lot more prevalent than I would think what people realize, I think there's this assumption, well, can't they just leave or can't they just, you know, they've got to know that this is wrong and they shouldn't be living, you know, like that. But what happens? Why is it that families get sucked in and feel that there's no escape?
Well, for some, they start believing the abusive partner. For some, they fear the consequences of leaving. For some, they believe that staying until maybe if they have children, the children are old enough, you know, to decide whose house, because they can't really protect the kids if the kids aren't, you know, with them. So they stay long enough for the kids to be a little bit older. But there's so many more reasons why a person would stay than there are to leave, actually.
Well, and what are the signs that maybe, you know, community people should be, you know, whether it's a, you know, family member or friend? I mean, is there something that we can maybe look out for and help these victims? I mean,
I would say that people need to really trust their instinct, because you know if that person kind of gives you that gut feeling where you just feel uneasy, you know, you kind of know that there's some controlling issues going on. I would say for a person that's just newly in a relationship, if they first kind of experience the feeling of they're afraid to get in trouble by that person, like they're afraid to do something wrong, almost like the partner is turning into this parental role, that would be a good clue. Another one is, what we find in adults is if the money situation is very controlled, and on top of that, most of the time she is not allowed to work outside of the home either. So, you know, her financial resources are going to be very controlled.
yeah.
So we see those. What I really tend to talk about most is not the physical sides. We know physical abuse. We know it's wrong. We can recognize it. But we need to look at the other subtle forms. We need to look at the controlling, you know, saying who you can hang out with and who can call you.
Does it eventually go to physical, or do a lot of these relationships stay in the mental abuse and the controlling abuse? Can it just stay there?
It can. It can stay there for years, and there's so many abusive relationships that it never actually gets physical. And sometimes they may get physical to the extent of just stopping someone from walking out the door or, you know, grabbing their arm, but it's not enough to leave a mark or a hospital visit or something, so they're not really thinking that that would be considered abusive.
Well, as we close, you know, if there is someone watching this morning and they say, you know, I want out, I need help, I'm ready to acknowledge it, what would you have them do?
I would have them call our hotline. We can safety plan with them. And if it's a viewer that is suspecting someone they care about, you know, try not to judge them for not leaving. We don't encourage people to leave. We encourage them to stay safe, whether they're in it or whether they're leaving. And we can do that with safety planning over our hotline.
And that is what you guys are, a wealth of resources and encouragement on helping these families. Christine, thank you for all that you do in the community. We look forward to having you back. And of course, for more info, you can go to our website, boxformorningblend.com.
All right, buckle up. We have a speedy giveaway that's going to be having you racing up to Daytona coming up. How you can see your favorite drivers in action at one of the most exciting tracks in all of the country.